All right, Shalom. I'm going to give all praise unto Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rakar Kodash, Prophet Yahweh, Prophet Yahushai, for this truth, knowledge, and wisdom. We give double honors to our apostles and elders, which is apostle elders at Great Millstone, to you hope to elect on the four corners of the planet Earth. Keep enduring, keep faith, keep pushing towards that mark. We're closer than ever. We're at the last little bits, the last little moments left on Esau's shot clock. Okay, so I just wanted to go in on this lesson. This is just another installment of This Is Why We Call You the Devil. And this is not part two, but there's many parts out there. All right. But this is why we call you the devil, whitewashing, which is, I really, it's been on my mind since I woke up. So I was like, man, I got to put it together. So I've just been gathering different scriptures, different information that I can put out here. Baratazad is edifying. Everything must be done for the edification and to build us up, man. But this is another fact that we can put in Esau's face, whitewashing, okay? Because this man has whitewashed a lot of our artwork, a lot of our history, because the word devil means deceiver, man. Okay? If we go right here and let me see if I can get to that page. It was just one page I found, but the word devil, okay, it means deceiver. All right, Satan, what you call Satan, the adversary, but the devil, the word devil means deceiver. Okay, all right. Let's see if we can go. This is a sideways page. It says deceiver of mankind. The devil, not a noun. It will never intend to be understood as being the name of some spiritual entity. It was a simple symbol being employed in order to encompass an idea of a cruel, corrupt system. So it is the deceiver, man. Esau is the devil. He is the physical counterpart of the spiritual demon Satan. Okay, that's why Yahushua said that you are of your father, the devil, man. What you were speaking about, what the Romans, which are the wicked at that time. Okay, but they weren't being manifested as the son of perdition at that time. Okay, they were being built up to be. Okay, but the main point, whitewashing. So we're gonna jump right into this video, which I found earlier today. I mean, I was looking and this video came up. So I'm gonna play it. I'm not gonna zoom in on it because I don't want to get no strikes or anything like that. But I'll play the volume and check this out because a lot of the now Esau in this video came out in 2017. Now Esau, you got these Edomites that are trying to study history and see because they felt like it was about them and the great white culture that they've had. So they went into, these bookworm Edomites. So they went into work, historical careers, and they started looking into the artwork and they're like, wait a minute, this artwork isn't adding up because there's color supposed to be on this artwork. So then they're coming out, and that's why it says he shall make their tongues to fall upon themselves. So the Lord is forcing these Edomites to come out and say, well, something ain't adding up because this artwork had color to it and it was whitewashed. Okay, it was took out, man. Okay, so let's play the video and enjoy it. This past spring, Sarah Bond found herself at the center of an unexpected controversy. She didn't expect what she was doing. She just thought she was studying artwork and she wanted a greater understanding of art. But then she stumbled upon it and the truth came out and she put it out there, man. Because the Most High put the Spirit on her to put it out there. Men's goings of the Lord. So let's watch this. Classicist, a profession that doesn't really attract conflict, especially about race. This particular controversy, weirdly enough, was about an article she wrote on ancient statues and something called polychromy.
White marble statues.
Oh, let's read them. About an article let's read this comments real quick. This particular controversy. It says, is a hypocrite who teaches late Roman history, thus by her own tweet, racism at blank Iowa and civilrights.org needs to be notified. It says, you may not be cutting off heads. Other than that, you are trying to destroy history like ISIS. So these Edomites are catching feelings, man. I ain't think to read these comments, but these Edomites are catching feelings because what she's bringing out is the culture that has been hidden. That's why it says everything that is done in darkness shall come to the light.
Enough.
Stop fucking with us. This bro, Esau's hurt, man. Hey, look, you can tell it says stop fucking with us. You're a Scottish Jew literature what is that? Liberating people of Mediterranean descent about our history. The sheer idiocy, if I'm pronouncing that right. Odyssey. Let me see what that is, man. Hold on. I gotta look up words. These I'll be cussing. Let's say A-U-D-A. Let's see what that means. A willingness to take bold risk.
Audacity.
Audacity, Salakia. Audacity. The audacity of you, man. You know, hey, we ain't no scholars over here. We ain't no perfect, college professors, man, but let's keep going.
About an article she wrote on ancient statues.
Check
something
this out.
Called polychromy.
Now the word polychromy means
Polychromy.
an art of painting in several colors, especially as applied to ancient pottery, sculptures, and sculptures. Let me see if there's any more on here. No, that's it. But I just wanted to get the definition of it.
White marble statues are what you normally see when you go into any museum today. They're really mostly what is presented to the public either in movies or in video games or in museums. But we know, particularly from a lot of digital technologies, that polychromy was something that was quite common.
Polychromy is an academic term that just means lots of paint. Over the past 30 or so years, scientific and imaging advances have made it possible to know that this archer, sculpted around 500 BCE, actually looked like this.
See that? You see how that looks right? That looks like what it's supposed to be. Okay? Excuse me. That looks like what it's supposed to be. The other statue did not look right, man. You can even see if I can get half. But you see that, man. It looks right like that.
This. Sarah's argument was about skin color. Paintings from ancient Rome and Greece show what.
And you see Jake right there. Jake. You see Jake, man. You can tell by their features, man, and you know that we were servants in that time, man. And some of us excelled to the ranks of the Roman Empire in that era, man.
Wide variety of skin tones that reflected a multi-ethnic society.
You can see that. That's clearly a black man sitting on a throne, man. Because we know that we had Caesars, that we had so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans that excelled to those ranks in the Roman Empire. Okay?
So why are these statues always presented in bare marble?
The belief that Romans are white people is something that's widespread. Julius Caesar oftentimes gets depicted as a pretty white guy, when in fact he probably had a much darker Mediterranean skin tone.
The image of these ancient societies as mostly white can be traced back to an 18th century scholar named Johann Winckelmann, who was fixated on the purity of white marble.
There is no monolithic skin tone for the entirety of the Mediterranean. You have people that are from North Africa, people that are from what is modern day Nigeria and Ethiopia that are intermixed.
Talking about Israelites, Nigeria, that goes back to Israelites, man. They just don't want to say you Negroes in America are ones being depicted in this artwork. That's what they just said. From Nigeria, they slid that in there. Who was in Nigeria? You Israelites, man. So Israelites were in that era and in that time.
Nobody questioned any of this. And now, the work of figuring out what these statues actually look like falls to people like Rachel Sabino, a conservator at the Art Institute of Chicago.
This pigment in here we analyzed, and it is red lead, so we know certainly that this whole sweep of drapery was more than likely a maroony color. As for the skin tones, that's always the question, because those are some of the more fugitive types of pigments. They don't last the longest. And we're not always sure if they were meant to be somewhat ephemeral looking or if they were meant to be these flat monochromes.
To Sarah, the paint on these statues challenges the belief that the Western world was built by white emperors, white scribes, and white artisans who created white statues. What you're describing as this sort of normalization of white marble, what effect do you think that that's had in terms of building out standards of beauty in the Western world?
So I think that Western civilization is itself a cultural construction, something that has been reused to argue for the superiority of Europeans and for Western civilization, and thus to connect the U.S.
White supremacy, man. Okay? White supremacy.
to Europe in this cultural heritage.
Sarah and a growing number of classicists believe that polychrome statues should come with some carved display or even overlaid projections that would show how they originally looked.
There's resistance to any sort of alteration in something that's been perceived as an art historical standard, even the Sistine Chapel ceiling. So there are going to be people who are attached to the idea that these things were white.
It's something that was transmitted to us because paint gets rubbed away, but at the same time, it's not something that is a reality. It's a fiction that we really like telling ourselves.
All right. So that's showing you, man. Esau is the devil. That's why we call you the deceiver. So let's go. I'm gonna go point out this article right here. It's Art of Medieval and Renaissance Era Blacks in Europe, and we're gonna go right to the point. You see you see Jake right here. You see Jake being pictured in the artwork. Okay, you see Jake, little Judite, could be Judah Benjamin and Levite kid, little boy that was painted. So now let's go right here to this. This is the main one I'm going to pull out. It says James Francis Edward Stuart confirmed. James Francis Edward, Prince of Wales, the Chevalier de St. George, the king over the water, the old pretender, or the old Chevalier, was the son of the post James II of England and Ireland, James the Seventh of Scotland. As such, he claimed the English, Scottish, Irish throne as James III of England and Ireland and James in the Eighth of Scotland from the death of his father in 1707. When he was recognized as King of England, Scotland, and Ireland by his cousin Louis the looks like the 15th of France. Following the death in 1766, he was succeeded by his son Charles Edward Stuart in the Jacobite succession. Had his father not been deposed, there would have been only two monarchs during his lifetime, his father's and himself. In reality, there were seven: his fathers, William III, Mary II, and George I, George II, George III. Although the ruling Protestant Stuart died out of his half-sister, Queen Anna, and the last remaining Stuart of James, his son. So let's go right down here and look right here. You can clearly see that this is a Jake. You can clearly see he has Negro features, Negro look, okay, a little light-skinned, okay? So that's showing you now, believed to be James Francis Edward Stuart, Prince James III of England, because of the similarities in armor, hairstyle, and leopard skin coat founded in the fake White Knives, see that? White Knives portrait of James III of England, who was son of deposed King James II of England. So you see this face right here? You clearly see that this is an Israelite. Okay. Now let's go to the whitenized version of him. See that? See how the difference? It's the same armor. It's the same hairstyle. It's the same pose as in the real one, and even got the same. Everything's the same. Let's look at the similarities. Everything is the same. Okay, but they even put this blue thing in here. It goes into that blue line, that bloodline. Okay, Illuminati adding their trademark. That's why you see a lot of those presidents wear that blue tie, just like that color, or that red tie, which symbology goes back to that bloodline and their to their ties to the Illuminati, if you want to say. Okay, so you see that this clearly is an example of Esau being the devil. And it says, since albino people do not make fake portraits of black or mulatto people, rather they only make fakes of albino people, so as to fit their bogus history. Thus, we can safely assume that this whitenized portrait of Prince James II of England is the fake. So this is why we call you the devil. And this is history, man. Now it's the same thing you see today. We're claiming to be the Israelites, the true descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And then you have these people that's being imposters and claiming to be us, man. So the truth is coming out. Okay, the truth is coming out. And then this right here is Pinterest of just different images of Jakes throughout history, the ones they couldn't get. Okay, because we made so much art. They didn't have a problem with having Jakes in pictures back then because we weren't totally fallen, because some of us were still in rulership and still had power roles. So Esau couldn't come into all the chapels and the churches and paint and whitewash everything, because we fell totally when we went into captivity, man. But in the times of the dark ages, we ruled a lot of those places, man. Esau was just coming into power during the time of the Renaissance, that rebirth of his rulership. Okay, so we just gonna jump right into the scriptures now and go ahead and close on out, man, because the point is there. This is why we call you the devil. You know, this right here is lies, man. These are total lies that you have to answer for. We're getting our history back, and your lies are being found out, man. This is John 8:44. It says, ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father you will do. He was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth, just like Esau, man. All right, Esau is the epitome, the physical epitome of Satan. All right, because it's speaking about what? The serpent. Okay, it says abode, which is that spirit that's in Esau today. Abode not in the truth, but there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. So Esau is the father of lies, man. He's been found out to be that the scripture fits him. Because Jake ain't lying, man. We out here discovering our heritage, discovering our truth, because we believed your narrative. We believed that we weren't the people. We believed that we weren't ruling in those eras. So how are we lying? We didn't have no. The Most High is the one that's putting the truth to our forefront and bringing it to our remembrance, though you once knew this. This is Isaiah 25:7. And he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people, and the veil that is spread over all nations. And that's what you're seeing happening right now. The Lord is putting that veil before he destroys this man and judges this man. Your crimes have to be found out. That's why it says when you tell a lie, you have to tell what? 5 lies more to cover the one lie you just told. So your lies are catching up to you, man. You're starting to stumble over yourself. You know, you're starting to stumble over yourself. 2 Corinthians 3:16. Nevertheless, when it shall turn, it says, nevertheless, when it shall turn to the Lord, the veil shall be taken away. Now the Lord is that spirit, and where the spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. So the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahshua is abounding in this truth and this work, and upon the first and foremost, the apostles and elders that have been set up to be the shepherds over his flock, man. Okay, a shepherd or flock needs a shepherd. That's why the Lord sets up order, man. Okay, if you're a landowner and you have hundreds and thousands, if not thousands of sheep, you're gonna need shepherds over those sheep. That's what the Yahweh Shem Yahshua set up, man, because his sheep, his husbandry, okay, his flock, and that's you Israelites. Just like he set up Moses, Aaron, he set up Paul, Peter, he set up the apostles. Just back then, he's setting them up now because Israel's like a flock without a shepherd, man. Okay, let's keep going. This is 2 Corinthians 11:3. 2 Corinthians 11:3. And it says, but I fear lest any means, it says, but I fear lest by any means, as the serpent beguiled Eve through his subtlety. That's what Esau is, a subtle guy. He's a subtle creature. He's very sneaky, man. He knows what he's doing, man. That's why he whitewashed these images. He paints these things. He's the professor of lies. He's the doctor of falsehood. He's the he's the he's the chief house of bogastry. You know what I'm saying? The man's the king of lies. And it says Eve through his subtlety. So your mind should be corrupted from the simplicity that is in Mashiach, man. Because the yoke is easy. You just have to be given the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to see through his lies, man. And we fell for the okie doke. We can't say we didn't. We can't say we didn't know. Oh yeah, I ain't fall for Esau's scheme. I'm greater than that. No. The Most High had Esau get us, man. Ephesians 6:11. But put on the whole armor of Yahweh that ye may be able to stand the wiles of the devil. Okay? And what's the wiles? Let's look at the word wiles. The word there for wiles is metodia. Okay? And it says cunning arts, deceit, craft, trickery. And right here you seeing his trickery right here, okay? This is a part of his trickery, okay? So with that, I want to give all praise unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kodash, Brakti Yahweh, Brakti Yahushai, Brakti Yahweh, Brakti Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kodash for this truth, knowledge, and wisdom. And this is why we call you the devil, whitewashing. Esau, you are the devil, man. Shalom.